Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about some note-taking guidelines for physical science. So let's start out with talking why we should be taking notes. It's going to help keep you alert, it helps keep your body active, and it helps you avoid feeling drowsy or distracted as well. And it also helps engage your mind. So it helps you note important things that I might be saying and that you should be writing down. And it's also going to help you emphasize that important information and organize it as well. So that way you're going to be able to review your notes after class and remember, oh yeah, this is what we talked about, or she said this was really important, and as well as connect ideas together as well as we go through our units. It also helps create a condensed record for study. And so when your notes are organized, it's going to help you study and learn and be able to review after each class. It's also a skill you're going to have to use in other classes throughout high school, and if you choose to go to college, in college as well. And so the sooner we can start getting into good note-taking habits, it's going to help set us up for success as we go through life. And bonus, you should all like this, you get to use your notes on any test, quiz, project, or assignment in this class. So it's kind of a bonus incentive for you. You are also going to be asked to submit screenshots or pictures of your notes periodically throughout the trimester as well. And that'll go into the daily work portion of your grade. So there's two options for you to take notes. The first option is a digital notebook. And so what that is, it's a Google Slides presentation. And it's going to be found under the class resources on the classwork tab. So I'm going to exit out of here. And so first I'll show you where it will be. So when you go into Google Classroom, doesn't matter which hour you are, it's all set up the same. You come to our classwork tab, that's where everything will be found. And right under class resources, there will be the virtual notebook for you. And so everybody will have a copy, and it's going to be up to you if that is something you would like to use. So now let me show you what it is. So again, it's a Google Slides presentation. And so on this first page here, you can see it's got our cover page. Physical Science A, Fall 2020, Nature of Science Virtual Science Notebook. When you come to the second slide, this is our table of contents. And so our notes in here are broken down by each day that we are doing notes and the date as well. And so you can see for 9/15, first day of taking notes. What will also be helpful is these are all linked to the slides. And so when you click on it, and then you click here, it's going to bring you to the start of our notes. So this here is just a cover page. It's just letting you know this is the start of day 1, learning target 1 on 9/15. So I'm going to go to the next slide. You can see, okay, I'm going to take notes on observation. So you are going to type in what is an observation, what's the definition. You are also going to use it in a sentence. And you can also put in a picture that reminds you of the word. And so you can go on the internet and copy and paste in an image to help you remember it. Then you can also see you'll do the same for qualitative observation, quantitative observation. And then there's also a spot for you to take any extra notes. Maybe there's something that you feel is extra important that you want to remember. Or if you have questions, this would be a great spot to put in any questions you have. And then at the bottom, you can see there's a stop sign. And so that's letting you know that's the end of the notes for day 1. There's not any more you have to do. And even if you go to the next slide, you can see that, okay, that's day 2 stuff for 9/16. I don't have to worry about that yet. That's for the next day. Another part I want to show you is you will also be working through daily review problems. And so to show us that you're working on your daily review problems, you'll be able to answer these questions. So you'll see the question and it has directions for this one, right? Whether the observation is qualitative or quantitative, and then you'll be able to write in your answers for those as well. So again, if I come back to the beginning of the notebook, we have our cover page. We have our table of contents that'll bring you to everywhere you need to go. The third slide is our learning targets for our Nature of Science unit. So you can take some time to read through them, and then it'll also be included in the notes that we take as well. and then again, day 1. When I come back to the presentation, you also see 2 programs listed here, OneNote, and it should be if you have a Chromebook on all of the Chromebooks, and then Google Draw. So it's similar to Google Slides in a way. So I just want to show you those options as well. So I already have OneNote opened up, but for when we're working out different math problems in science, for example, you can come up here in OneNote, hit Draw, and then you can select the kind of pen you want to use. You can change the color. If you have a device at home where you have a touch screen, you can use the touch screen. So I'm just going to click here for now. And so now if I want to work out a math problem, I am just going to click down on my trackpad or my mouse. And then I'm just going to use my other hand to move the cursor around. And so I can write out my math problems if I find that helpful. So then the other program, Google Draw, is very similar. And so again, once you're in Google Draw, to do the writing, kind of like OneNote, you're going to come up here to select line. So this little arrow here. And then you're going to go to scribble. And so again, you're going to push down on your mouse or trackpad, use your other finger or use your hand to drag it around and draw. And so again, you can work out different math problems if you would like. And so that's another tool you could use if you would like as well. Let me come back here. So again, your first option is the digital notebook using the Google Slides presentation, and you can also add in using OneNote and Google Draw if you would like. And again, this presentation is under our class resources in the classwork tab on Google Classroom. Your second option here would be to use a paper notebook. And so if you have a notebook at home that you want to dedicate to science class, that's perfect. You can do that as well. If you choose this option, you're going to need to be able to take a picture of your notes and upload it onto Google Classroom for when we do our notes checks for our daily work. And you can use that digital notebook as a guide of vocabulary words you should be writing down, equations, working out problems. You can do that, but we also just need to make sure that you have a way to upload it onto Google Classroom. So that's something to keep in mind when you decide which option that you would like to use. So expectations with note-taking. Every day with starting your notes, we need you to include your first name, your last name, the date that you are taking the notes, and your student ID number. If you do not know your student ID number, you can log into Student View and you should be able to find it there. If you're still having troubles, let me know and I can help you out with that. That'll be no problem. So again, every entry starts with your first and last name, date, and your student ID number. Second most important thing, do not write everything down. It's going to be too much work for you and you're going to write down more than what you need. You want to focus on summarizing the information, paying attention to vocabulary, units, and equations. And I'll do my best to help you out on our first few presentations to point out those things for you. You're also going to want to keep your notes neat and organized. And we'll see that on the next slide. We'll talk about what organized notes will look like, especially if you're doing paper and pencil. Also, each day after you take notes, I want you to take just 5 minutes reviewing them. I'm not asking for an hour, just 5 minutes. Whether you do that at the end of class, maybe after you finish your work, just take 5 minutes and look them over. Or maybe you like to do it at the end of the school day or a little bit later in the evening. Whenever it works for you, just take 5 minutes to review them. And so when you're going back and reviewing, I want you to focus on highlighting important things. So maybe you're highlighting a vocab word or the definition or an important equation. Add some pictures so you can add some drawings with it to help create a visual to help you make that connection as well. And then, move my camera out of the way here. Write down any questions that you have to ask during the synchronous portion of class. So again, Tuesday through Friday will be on Google Meets. And we will start out class with you asking if you have any questions for me or things that you want to review. And so writing down those questions will help make that process smoother. And so what does organized notes look like? So as we can see here with our first arrow, they're noting a vocabulary word, and so that's great. And they underlined it, they made special note of it. They're also, again, using pictures. So that way, for this example, they know what an amplitude is. They can know what the wavelength is. They have a good visual to go with things. They're also, again, keeping it neat, keeping it organized. They're also finding ways to color code different things, maybe things that are similar or different. And then they also have some space in between the notes. So it's not all squished together. They're leaving some space in between so it looks a little cleaner. So those are things to keep in mind as you are going through and taking your notes throughout our science class and other classes as well. And so our main points that I want to review with you. We know why we're taking notes, and the bonus is you get to use them on any test, quiz, or project. You also have to submit screenshots of them or pictures of it onto Google Classroom every so often. Your two options are the digital notebook or the paper notebook, and you can also consider things like OneNote and Google Draw. And again, if you do the paper notebook, you need to have a way to take a picture and upload it onto Google Classroom. And always start your notes with your first and last name, the date, and your student ID. So that's our expectations and guidelines for taking notes, and I hope that this helps set you up for success.